Yeah, what's happening? Chinese here, also known as China L. Colston, actress and independent filmmaker. So I'm here today with Brad Stevens, and we're going to give our reaction to the 2021 film adaptation of West Side Story, directed by the great Steven Spielberg. Brad, introduce yourself, and then we'll get started.
What's going on? Brad Stevens, actor, writer, director, owner of Land of Misery Films. We have a website, no, YouTube channel, Cat TV. Check it out. And I'm in the house.
Hey, all right. So I'm going to read. I have IMDb here, folks. So I'm going to read what it says, and then we can go. We can just go ahead. West Side Story was 2021 release. It's under the genre of crime, drama, musical. It's 156 minutes, PG-13, but it didn't feel like it to me. I'll say that. It says an adaptation of the 1957 musical West Side Story explores forbidden love and the rivalry between the Jets and the Sharks, two teenage street gangs of different ethnic backgrounds, specifically Puerto Rican against primarily what Polish. I think it's various Caucasian ethnicities, right?
I think so.
Yeah, yeah. They said that Tony was Polish, so directed by Steven Spielberg, written by Tony, adapted from the play by Tony Kushner. Rita Moreno, who also was starring in the film, she is one of the executive producers, by the way. Original composer Leonard Bernstein, current cinematographer Janusz Kaminski, editors Sarah Broshar, Michael Kahn, casting Cindy Tolan, production design Adam. Sorry, Adam, I can't recall. But let me get to the cast. Principal and principal supporting. Ansel Elgort portrayed Tony. Rachel Zegler portrayed Maria. Ariana DeBose played Anita. David Alvarez played Bernardo. Rita Moreno played Valentina. And countless other talented actors. Yeah. So Brad, go ahead and tell me. I don't know if you want to start with the cinema. If we want to compartmentalize, do cinematography, writing, the way it was editing, whatever you acting. Just dive in. Let's go.
Overall, I really love the film. I think it's always tricky when you're doing a remake, especially a remake of a classic.
Yeah.
West Side Story, which came out like late 50s, early 60s.
Late 50s, early 60s.
Yeah, somewhere around there. And I thought it was great, number one, that even though it's a well-known story, very much based upon Romeo and Juliet,
yes,
that they went about it differently, yet it still was within the same framework. So I thought the cinematography was amazing. I mean, it was off the charts to me. I love the acting. The story really brought me in, even though you knew what to expect, and there were enough differences to make it unique and stand on its own. Like I like the fact that Rita Moreno had a connection to the previous story from the standpoint that she was the wife
yes.
of the store owner. So that through line, and that the same thing was still going on, which was kind of weird because I guess this movie took place like around the same time period, but time had passed. You know what I'm saying? But still, that didn't bother me too much.
Good point, Brad. Good point.
And overall, I thought the acting was on point. I thought the singing was on point. I thought the dancing was on point. And I just thought, like, I often ask that question: if West Side Story, or the old school West Side Story, was made today, would it fare well today? And I don't know. I think this version very much works. Quite possibly, even the old version would have fared well. But I think this updated version really works, and it has enough of the hallmarks of the old story that really brought me in. And I thought it was great that Rita Moreno was in the film. That called back to the previous period. Yeah, because I'm trying to think, just not to get off topic, how many members of the original cast are still around. Rita Moreno, I think the guy who played Tony's left-hand man is still around.
Okay.
But I thought that was a great tribute. And I thought like the framing, like, just my last point. I was excited to see this film from the trailer alone. The trailer
He was,
itself
y'all. He was.
was beautiful. The trailer
Yeah.
itself was beautiful.
Yeah.
And that classic scene we talked about earlier when they're getting ready to fight and they're walking towards each other, and there's like an overhead shot and the shadow. There's something about that shot that's just like, man, this is on point. So overall, I thought it was a well done film. The editing as well, I thought all came together to tell a great story, and it just shows, you know, Steven Spielberg is a beast storyteller, masterful storyteller.
Thank you, Brad. I enjoyed this movie immensely. I was not so eager to see this version, another version, because I love the original film adaptation. And even that's not original because the original was on stage, right? But I love the original film adaptation. It was, and then I don't know what led me to watch it. I don't know. Anyway, I ended up watching it and I really, really was engrossed in the film. I especially loved the cinematography, the way Steven Spielberg brought us in to the environment, to the construction happening. That was like this. It was beyond an aerial shot. I mean, I love the green, bluish hues filters they use over the entire film. I was taken in immediately by the choreography. I love the dancing. I was especially moved by the performances of the actress who portrayed Maria Rita Moreno's performance, and especially moved by the gentleman who portrayed. His name is Mike Fast. He portrayed what was the hot-headed leader's name?
Riff.
Riff.
Yeah.
I was especially moved by those three performances deeply in my soul. Ariana was really great, and I loved her comedic moments. I mean, when she was in the church, and I love what is it? I love to live in America. I know I'm saying it wrong, but the song America. I loved her dancing, masterful dancing. She really did a good job. She was there in the moment. Yeah, and it's interesting. The editing was fire. The cinematography was 5-star, easy. I just love the music score as well. I still find myself singing along, and I like that they brought in the Valentina character, Rita Moreno. She brought she made it really grounded because she was an elder, and she herself was a Puerto Rican character who had married a Caucasian man and owned a store. And so she had all this history to bring to these young people and wisdom to bring to the young people. And she could relate, I'm sure, to the rift that happened when she was a young woman. So I love that. And she was so moving in her performance. She brought humor and depth and vulnerability and power. And yeah, it was just so lovely. I'm so glad I experienced it. I experienced it twice because I wanted to make sure I was on point with how it impacted me for this film reaction. And I honestly, at first I was like, Steven Spielberg directing a musical? Because I don't know of his history of doing that. I don't think his filmography includes a musical, right?
Not that I could think of.
Yeah, not that I can think. I don't remember seeing it on his IMDb. So I was kind of like, I don't see that. I don't see it happening. Doesn't mean it can't. Clearly, he knows what he's doing. Yeah, I was over the moon with this movie.
Right. Yeah. And I'm trying to think. I had to go back and see the old version.
Oh, yes, please do.
When Anita went to go tell Tony,
yeah,
near the end, and then they were about to try to sexually assault her. That was not in the original, right? I think that was a.
I have to watch the original again.
I wasn't sure. I thought it was a very. It was like a It was a I can't think of the word. It was a scene like, oh, she was a scene like, oh, fuck, come on, don't go down this road.
Yeah.
and it was like that turnaround where Riff's girlfriend kind of turned to defend her
Yes,
because
she
now it was a
did.
separation between okay, white Puerto Rican to okay,
Women versus men.
male female. Okay, you
Yeah,
didn't want to cross this line. She was,
yeah,
I thought that was really interesting.
yeah.
And yeah, I thought it was a really great performance by everybody, but I did like Riff as well because that seems like something. Maybe because that's not my skill set. I'm an actor who writes and directs.
Mhm,
I sing, but I'm not a singer.
mhm.
But having that combination of somebody who can act as well as dance, like his movement was just amazing. The movement all throughout the movie.
Amazing. And when that dying scene when Riff was stabbed,
Yeah,
masterful, masterful. Oh, I was saying bravo as I was watching it. I mean, and he just shout out to Mike Fast. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Faist. Fast. He was incredibly wonderful in portraying the character of Riff.
right.
Incredibly, just wow. I was so impressed and so moved by his performance. Maria, what's her name? The Zegler. Is it Sarah Zegler, Brad?
Rachel.
Rachel Zegler. I loved how she interacted with Tony. I saw the love in her eyes, the passion, the sincerity in her eyes. She was so engulfed in
Right.
her relationship with Tony, her newfound love with Tony. She was so present, and I was so engrossed with her performance. She was just totally present. I felt like she didn't even her performance was so present. It felt like she didn't even know the camera was there.
Right.
I felt like I was being nosy. So she clearly did her homework and had adequate, preparation time to produce such a wonderful performance. I have to say that the scenes between Tony and Maria, it wasn't electric. I mean, the scenes written wasn't. It wasn't either whether it was directed or written. I wasn't always. I was looking forward to seeing Rachel Zegler's interpretation as Maria, as her love for him. That was exciting and electrifying. But their scenes in totality just didn't have a lot of fire. How did you feel differently, Brad?
Uh, it didn't bother me. I guess because I was taken in by the moment. You know what I'm saying? That like when they first met and they're behind the bleachers.
Hmm. Yeah,
I
that
thought,
was a
I
nice
thought,
scene. That was
I
a nice
thought,
scene.
yeah, I thought it was a good scene.
Yeah, that was a favorite scene.
And when he first went to go see her on the fire
Fire
escape
escape. Yeah,
the first time, and maybe because the scene is just so classic, the scene and the song itself is so iconic. Like it carries
yeah.
over throughout and that might have been it as well. That it had like the scene had like a power behind it, just historically. And that makes any sense. That kind of made me really interested to watch it.
Well, I did appreciate how the second time he sees her, I did like the whole dance when they first met one another. That was nonverbal
Right.
love at first sight. I did like the choreography and how they took in each other. Um, my least favorite scene was the church scene when they were kneeling and uh, expressing their vows to one another, as if they were going to be married.
Right.
That was my least. That was the least electrifying scene for me. Um, I guess my favorite scene between the two was when he was on the fire escape. But like, shout out to Steven Spielberg because initially they were so far apart on the fire escape, and the more the scene when the scene as the scene unfolded, it became closer and closer. All the barriers start to um, be removed. By the end of the scene, they were like this, and there were no barriers between the two of them. So shout out to Steven Spielberg on that type of direction because I don't know if did you take note of that, Brad?
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it was a nice visual of all these barriers at first. He was way down here, she was up here, and it was gradually there were no barriers. Um, any other scenes that really, really well, I love the dance, the first big dance routine, in the gym
Right.
when they all met, and wonderful. I have to say I loved all the dance routines. I love um yeah, all of them in the gym.
Right.
Between when Riff had the gun and Tony was trying to tuck him out of, like, don't use this gun, don't go there. All the choreography was so electric, and it just made me want to jump through the screen. How did the choreography dancing make you feel, Brad?
I was amazing. Well, I thought it was amazing. I think just period. I think maybe I also always have an appreciation for something I can't do. Like I could never choreograph like anything, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not a dancer. So like,
Yeah,
man, this is really, so I just have an even greater appreciation.
yeah.
And like I said, I think it's always challenging, like, for the movie in its own right,
Hmm.
stand on its own in terms of all those things, the music, the dancing,
Yes,
choreography. Once again, in the face of the original, or the original film that came out
yes.
years and years and years ago.
Hmm.
Another thing that I love that sense of very much the human nature that you saw throughout the film, of like laser focus, and then other people trying to vie to get their attention for whatever reason. So like Maria had like laser focus on Tony,
Yes,
and
yes,
vice versa. And
yes.
then it was like, who was that, Chico, who ended up
Oh
killing,
yes, who she didn't vibe with.
was a vibe with, it's kind of like he was trying to get her attention, to a degree you kind of sense that. And then
Hmm.
on top of that, when he killed his friend, and the same thing with Bernardo, David Alvarez, I thought he did a damn good job as
He
well.
did too. He
That
did
at
too.
first it was like
Yeah.
him and Mike Face, really going at each other, and then all of a sudden, because Tony got
It,
involved with his sister, his focus
yeah.
became immediately on Tony.
Yes.
But Riff was still, no, no, no. Me and you had to. He was trying to, Riff was vying with his attention in a violent way, and I kind
Yeah.
of love that through line in different forms, in love and hate. It was kind of like this sense
Mhm.
of vying for attention, uh, in one way or another.
Yeah. I noticed there was some talk of socially, there was some talk about commenting on why there weren't adequate Afro Latinos represented in this film. What are your thoughts? Have you heard that, or what are your thoughts about that? And we're both not Afro Latinos, so
Uh, well, I mean, I didn't hear. I mean, I didn't hear with this film, but I wouldn't doubt it. I heard it, like, for example, with The Heights.
oh yeah, I
It
did
came
too.
out like year before last, whenever it came out.
Hmm.
Me personally, I don't think much of it. Me personally, I'm like, yeah, I mean, because I just look at it, I mean, I can see their point, but I also feel there's always going to be something. It's always going to be something.
Hmm.
I thought it was cool that even though they were in the background, that you saw more Black people in the film as well. Like, like at the very beginning of the film, a little small part when they were dancing, then the Black couple comes across the street and he freezes.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah,
think like in the original film, only remember one Black guy in the gym. He was like in the
right.
background dancing. I said, oh, what is Black guy doing there? Right. But it kind of showed like the sense of that this is a hodgepodge neighborhood,
Hmm.
and some of everybody and their mama are living in a close vicinity,
Yeah, it's New
but
York.
also quite possibly their worlds apart. That it may not be a lot of mixing, which is the reality, unfortunately, for a lot of communities in some cities. Like Chicago
Yeah.
is one of the most. I love Chicago. It's one of the most segregated cities in the country. So I thought that was really interesting, but I didn't think too much of it. And I know it's kind of blunt.
I mean, I understand that it's tribalism, right? So it's kind of like, if you are of Puerto Rican descent, or that's your ethnicity, your nationality, you root for a Puerto Rican actor to have the opportunity to convey the nuances of a Puerto Rican person, right?
Right.
So I do understand. There's some nuances that you can't observe. You just kind of know, right? So I understand and I respect a person wanting that for a Puerto Rican actor. I get it. I totally get it. But I actually went back and watched the original. I started watching the original, and I must say, doggone it, that Rita Moreno, she deserved the Oscar.
Oh,
That
she's a beast. Yeah.
that performance, y'all. Rita Moreno's performance as Anita was masterful. You understand? All kind of levels, all kind of humor. I mean, and I just when I couldn't finish the movie because I had to watch the new one, but I was so taken in by the first performance of her, the first scene.
Yeah.
We haven't even gotten to the really dramatic stuff yet, and I was like blown away.
And then in the old version?
Yeah, in the old version. The original film, I was blown away by the Medica. Medica. Just by her performance in that. We didn't even get to the dramatic stuff, and I was like, I was so moved to laughter and to just like, wow.
Right. I thought it was really dope because even Spielberg brought that up, how they didn't want to do, because the whole film is classic, the original.
It is.
But especially that's one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah.
America on the rooftop.
Yes.
And I love the fact Steven Spielberg said that they didn't want to go do it on a rooftop. They didn't want to. It was on the street.
Yep.
Which I thought was dope.
I think that was smart. I like how you can tell Steven Spielberg respected the original direction of the original film adaptation, but then he added his own shades of gray to it, and purple and yellow, and because one of the scenes, America, that scene is shot in Harlem on like 143rd and St. Nicholas. I was like, wait a minute. I walked down the street many a times in that, because this is one area that they're doing construction on, like real life construction. I was like, wow, that must have been exciting. Ariana DeBose, her dancing.
Yeah.
Masterful. I really enjoyed her performance. She was hilarious. When she needed to be, vulnerable, she went there. I liked her relationship with the actor who played Bernardo.
Yeah.
I mean, they only had like 3 scenes, but I felt their chemistry. I felt the electricity between the two. They were both committed to the characters. Brad, can we take a moment of silence for the cinematography, please?
Oh, no doubt.
It was so fire!
I love that. Yeah, I thought it was dope. And like, for whatever reason, like I said, it was beautiful all throughout. And like, I'm just looking at how did they get that scene. So a number of scenes like stick out when the jets are like destroying the mural. Yeah. And the sharks come running up. Yeah. That scene is like, it's just something about this scene. Like, how did it just, it was so like poetic. Like they can come charging over. And then when Officer Krupke, I think we talked about this, is walking, like how the camera's kind of following. And like, man, it was just a beautiful, well-shot film. I like, how do they get these shots? You know what I'm saying?
Man. And then the scene where it was like, be cool, boy. When Tony says that to Rip, and they like, they're in this crazy little area, and then he jumps down, and we see the water. But then we see a scene from the angle of the water. Look, I was like, how did they?
Right.
Listen. I know Brad is he don't care about awards, any of that. And listen, once the Oscars are over, I ain't thinking about them either. But that's just what I am. As a little girl, as a teenager, I watched the Oscars and people's performances who've moved me. I'm always rooting that their performance gets celebrated. And it is so. Even if you don't get a trophy, it's still so. If you move people with your performance, it's celebrated. But I still like the award ceremonies and all that, and getting dressed up and seeing stars, and I like to accept the speeches. But I am rooting for this. I think this film is going to get a Best Picture, minimally Best Cinematography. I mean, Brad, what do you think?
Well, to me, it's like. Well, I haven't seen all the movies that nominated, I guess. Mm-hmm. But to me, the best film that we talked about is I like West Side Story and I like Belfast. And I like West Side Story, maybe a little bit above Belfast, but they're both to me are my 2 favorite films.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Then I would say next after that may be Macbeth.
I was, I,
Yes.
Brad, we're on the same
Yeah,
page.
but those are the top two for me. And it was like man, it's like wondering how long did it take to get that shot. You know what I'm saying? I'm like I wonder about that thing, and I asked the question: Can I ever get in that? Can I ever get into that category of director, storyteller? Like some of my favorites: Spielberg,
Hmm.
Martin Scorsese,
Hmm.
on down the line. But it just really it's a really inspirational film. And let me say this:
It is.
it's one of those type of films that, much like Cooley High, that I like to see, but I hate to see because you know what's going to happen at the end. Like, damn, I
Yeah.
wish Coach Cheeks wouldn't die at the
I
end.
know.
I wish Coach,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. 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 I was so taken aback by the picturesque cinematography. I mean, it just and it pulled us in emotionally as well, in collaboration with the actor's interpretation. I mean, bravo to the cast. I mean, even the Jets, the Sharks, those individuals who were like the smaller supporting roles of the under fives, like even the background actors brought it. Like I remember seeing a young black actress with her son coming onto the platform, and she was excited, I guess, to meet with a friend. And like I saw all that, like everybody really brought their A game. Everybody, the actor who played Tony, it was touch and go for me with him sometimes. The only thing I would say about the Tony either written character or interpretation is that Tony has a background of having been formerly incarcerated for almost having killed someone who was non-Caucasian, and he's remorseful. He has a change of heart and things like that. But I still feel like um, I didn't feel I never saw any inkling of edge from him, like because people who have done things like that, like even if they have a change of heart, they're still the edge is still there, like chilling, like you know what I mean. Like it's gonna always still be there if you rub them the wrong way and they have to defend themselves. They're gonna do it. So I just feel like that edge was missing. And even when he was beating up Tony, almost not Tony, I'm sorry, when he was beating up, yeah, beating up Bernardo, because he has been gooey eyed most of the movie, and finally he's fighting, almost beating Bernardo to death, Maria's brother to death. They only show one take of him showing this kind of hatred, this like I will kill you. I'm like, why y'all only show one take of him? What are your thoughts about that, bro? I just feel like he didn't show any edge. I'm like, if you were formerly incarcerated, you may not want to kill or hurt anybody anymore, but that edge is still right there. It's like still a little present. What are your thoughts? You feel differently or the same?
well, I can see that. I guess it didn't bother me. And the same thing, like in the original, it didn't bother me as much. And I think maybe because it is a musical, I don't know, maybe because it is musical. That if it was like Boys in the Hood, it'd be like, hey, like more dramatic. But it being a musical for me, kind of gives it more leeway to be more artsy, even though it's like an edge to it in
Yeah.
terms of the violence, in terms of the possible danger. Um, I did get that sense of like danger with Bernardo and with
Right. And it's a
and,
musical.
and with Riff, that
Right.
sense of like it didn't bother me throughout the film.
It did. It was a little. I was just like, where is.
Right.
And I understand when you're interacting with a woman as a man and you're in love with her, we won't see the edge, and that's fine. And I didn't expect to see the edge. But I'm like, when you're interacting with your friends or your, dudes who are in your gang, whatever, like towards the end when him and Riff had the gun going back and forth, and Riff finally, had the gun at the end, and like there was a close up of him and he was crying. I'm like, why is he crying?
Right.
Like, I don't understand why he crying. Um, so yeah, that was kind of like, and I don't know if that's the character written or that's the interpretation, directing. It just I don't know if that's just like a millennial thing, Because I don't think a former gangbanger will be crying. What do you feel?
Oh, I think anybody can cry, but this big picture can cry about anything,
Yeah, but considering his history, though, like just because they Riff had the gun and walked away, would he be crying?
I want to think it depends on the individual and what that means. You know what I'm saying? I think it's like he's trying to stop this thing from going down,
Mm-hmm.
and he comes up short,
Mm-hmm.
and more than likely somebody's going to die. You know what I'm saying? And it's though that despite his best attempts, somebody's going to die, and the impact it's going to have not only on him but also on Maria.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it like I said, that didn't stick out to me. Like for example, if he had gone out to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked Maria out. She said no, and he started crying. I'd be like, "What the fuck? Keep it moving, man." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I guess that's just my personal thing. I just don't like to see men. I know men cry, and I believe in earning tears. Though I know that men cry, but like crying because you couldn't convince them to not like. But that was a part of your world. So anyway, I don't want to belabor that point, but outside of that, I mean, y'all, I don't have anything really. I really don't have any criticism, constructive criticism outside of not seeing any edge from Tony at all. The pinch, and sometimes some of the church scene between Maria and Tony was very lukewarm for me. It was kind of like shrug shoulder. Did you like that scene? Did you like all of their scenes? The church scene?
Yeah, the church. I had to see it again. The church scene didn't really stick out to me either way.
Yeah.
But I liked most of the scenes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like the scene on the train when they were talking.
Oh, I did too. Yeah.
And he was trying to play it down, whatever the case may be. And then you kind of see like the sense, are there differences going to be too much to overcome? When he was saying, well, do you think that Riff had it easy or whatever the case may be?
Mm-hmm.
Thought it was a really, really interesting conversation. But yeah, I just thought it was a great film. And like I said, like say time and time again, how everything comes together in terms of telling a story. Because would it be the same film if it was just like pedestrian cinematography? I don't know if it would be, or would it be the same film? It was nothing but wide shots. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't think it would be. Or if the editing was like just not on point. No, it wouldn't. Like all these things come together. And like I was saying, I would love to meet Rita Moreno, at least just meet her in person, talk with her. Like I know that what's the name? My girl who played Anita, Ariana DeBois.
Ariana DeBois.
I think she's really cute. She was saying how she had like panic attacks before she met Rita Moreno. She was so nervous to meet her. And like there's like a few people who are a lot great who I'd love to meet. Like I always wanted to meet Sidney Poitier. Unfortunately, he passed.
Yeah.
I would love to meet Harry Belafonte. I would love to meet Rita Moreno. I would have loved to meet what's the man's name? I forget his name. Ricardo Montalban.
Oh.
Like a number of actors, old school actors. I wish I could have met.
Yeah.
But that just must be just such a cool situation to actually act with somebody on that level who has such a history.
Yeah. Rita, I mean, I was just so moved by her interpretation, and she's an elder and she still held her own. That's what I do love about the profession of acting, or the application of acting, is there is no age limit.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
There is no age limit. And unlike with dance, outside of tap dance, there is no age limit for dancing.
Yeah, and I love like this side looking at the one of the behind the scenes clips. Mm-hmm. And Steven Spielberg was saying that when they shot the scene where she was in the store, Rita Moreno scene, she had her singing a song, that she actually had a cold that day. She was sick.
Oh, okay.
And so he was wondering, well, do you want to come back and shoot it? She was like, no, let's do it. And just like that sense of professionalism, I think she's like 90 something years old and still even
Yeah.
sick, like carrying through. I just
Yeah.
like, man, I love that. There's like a
Yeah.
gangsterism about, for lack of a better word, like it's a being a hardcore soldier. Let's do it. Let's knock it out. That I loved about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it even if she had a cold, it did not distract from her very moving performance.
Right.
It did not. What are your thoughts about the story itself, like the writing?
I thought it was really well done.
I think it was
Yeah.
well done as well. I mean,
Right.
I've never seen the stage production of it. Have you?
I have not. I would like to see it.
I would too now. I would too.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I'm definitely going to watch the original West Side Story tonight because of Rita Moreno. That's really why I want to see it. And I know there was people were speaking of some Latinx people were again disappointed because the original version, Maria, was played by a non-Spanish speaking person.
Natalie Wood. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't get more non-Spanish speaking than Natalie Wood. And she wasn't Spanish speaking. She wasn't Puerto Rican. But I have to say that, and then I think someone, according to an interview online, were saying that Rita Moreno was they would originally wanted Rita Moreno to play Maria,
Right.
but at the time they didn't think that a Spanish speaking person could sell the movie or should be the lead, so they gave it to Natalie Wood, and so Natalie Wood Rita Moreno had to teach her how to speak with an accent,
Right.
as opposed to just her being Maria.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I have to say that Natalie Wood did a good job with the accent. I mean, to me, but I'm non-Latino, Latinx, so I can just base it on what I hear here in New York City.
Right.
But back to this version, I can't say enough about how I just enjoyed the experience. I enjoyed the ride so much. And the dancing, and like when I'm going back and forth when the Sharks against the Jets, like after the dance, and they all had like this kind of blue, and they came out of like a garage, or I don't know where they would come, but the Sharks were walking with their bats, with their weapons, and then
Right.
the Jets were too, and it was like snack, stack, stack. I think it was Tonight. It was that song because Maria was in La La Land walking towards the train, and Tony was in
Right.
La La Land, and then they were talking about tonight, but they were all like, we're about to belligerent. I love that sequence. I mean, and
Yeah.
there were two editors for this film.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
It makes sense, right?
Yeah.
It's like editing the choreography scenes alone must have been a lot to take in.
Oh, I can only imagine. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
But they had a lot of wide shots, and I love the close-ups, Brad, that Steven chose to use for the very intimate, vulnerable scenes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, because I know there were a lot of wide. Of course, there have to be a lot of wide shots for all these choreographed routines. Of course.
Yeah. I'm about to say yeah.
It just makes sense, right? And shout out to the cinematographer and the camera operators because they had to do a lot of movement. They had to move along with the dancers, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That is like just wonder how that rehearsal process was like. How many times they did the dances, how many takes they did. I mean, I just wonder about stuff like that. Just the logistics.
Sure.
You know, you think about that sometimes, especially as a filmmaker.
Yeah, because Ariana DeBose in the interview was saying that those outdoor performances was doing it during a heat wave
Right.
in New York. So so she's danced. She said she wore out her heels or something like that. All these ladies are dancing in heels in the heat.
Right. Right.
I mean, sweating all over the place, and you can't look like you're hot, of course. So, yeah, brava to every component of it. I just really, really was like, what an incredible film. And Brad, it made me think, I was like, let's bring more musicals back, please.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to think like, because I got more into musicals, definitely like in high school going forward, you know what I'm saying? At first,
Yeah.
like, musical. But like, definitely like West Side Story. And and I grew up seeing musicals coming up. Like my mother and sister were and going to the theater as well.
Mhm.
West Side Story. What else? Yeah, the Wiz is
The
always
Wiz
a
is
classic.
always at the top of mine list.
The
Oh,
Sound of Music.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Guys and Dolls
yeah.
in Chicago.
What's one we saw? We did a review for with I guess it is a musical with Barbara Streisand presents
Barbara Streisand.
was it Funny Girl or
Funny Girl,
yeah, right.
where she was masterful in it.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. I say Hollywood, bring back the musicals, bring them back because being a dancer first, I forgot how much I love it. I forgot how much I miss seeing dance in film, not just on Instagram. Shout out to the Instagram dancers, but to see it on the screen is like, and I feel like this is a type of movie, West Side Story 2021. You need to experience it at the cinema.
Oh yeah, I've been in the movie since the pandemic. Really,
Right.
I would love to see this movie in person. I mean, like on the big screen.
And it's actually there now.
Right.
According to IMDb, it's there now. So if like a brand, like if you go to a matinee on a weekday, it's probably like what, 3 people in the whole cinema.
Right.
So I mean, I know you kind of like more cautious. Brad has had everything done, and he's still like, nah.
Right. We also had like this side note, I have like flare up of tinnitus, the ringing in the ears and stuff. So I'm kind of careful about sound. But real quick, like going back to the Tonight song.
Mm-hmm.
One thing else I love, I forget what they call it technically. I took like a musical improv class a number of years ago. But how there were different phrases that were riding above each other and beneath each other. Tonight, tonight, dun, 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 dun. You know what I'm saying? I love that shit. I just love it. It's so dope. Yeah.
The music composition, it was so like pum and oh, it just made me want to dance and jump through the screen, and like it just was like so entertaining. And this film is the epitome. It's one of the best films for escapism.
Yeah.
With a dash of reality in it, right?
Right. Yeah.
But it was great escapism and it was fantastical.
Yeah, and I have to say this last point. That launch with the music, like I always say, there's music in so much. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a musicality sometimes in dialogue. There's musicality in terms of editing. And like at the top of the scene, they had a one character who was like flicking the coin or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And that like that the musicality in that, I mean, I just thought was really, really, really well done.
Oh yeah, I forgot to shout out the one actress, the girlfriend of Riff. Bravo to her. I loved her performance. She had a smaller role, but she was very impactful and memorable for me.
Right.
So shout out to her. And there was I want to shout out a feature, an under 5 actress is when the Jets were in jail, and I guess Officer Krumke, is it Krumke or Krumsky?
Krumke, I think.
Krumke, when he left, and they were all like kind of pretending to be officers or whatever, and there was a prostitute in there,
right?
And she offered lipstick to the girl who wanted to be in the gang with the Jets. Right. I mean, it's kind of like she made an impression. She made an impact with her under 5 lines,
right?
Non-verbally and verbally. So it's like, hey, if you get an under 5 in a Steven Spielberg film, like do your prep work and just make, you can make it memorable and impactful.
Oh yeah, they can lead to other stuff too. They can lead to other stuff. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, she was great. So I just wanted to shout out the entire cast. They just really transported me into this world. And shout out to the choreographer and the dancing. All of the elements really came together really well. So yeah, anything else you want to say about West Side Story 2021?
Like I said, I can't say enough. I thought it was great. Just real quick, can you imagine, even if you had that under 5, having that on your resume?
Exactly.
On your resume? That'd be so dope.
Steven Spielberg, are you kidding me? E.T. So let's rate it out of 5 stars. What would you give the film overall?
I'll give it a 5 overall. I give it a 5 overall. I'll say every category: acting, choreography, music, of course, cinematography, editing. I thought it was a 5 across the board.
I agree with Brad. I give a 5 star across the board. Honestly, I would just give I would give 10 stars to cinematography. I'm sorry.
Right.
That cinematography was incredible, incredible. So 10 stars to the cinematography, and I out of the acting, I would give I'm gonna rate the principal actors. Um, the person who moved me most of all, I would have to say would be Mike Fast, who played
Okay. Right.
him. What's the character name?
I think it's Riff.
Riff. Sorry, the actor who portrayed Riff really captivated my heart. And again, the actress who played Maria and Rita Moreno, and yeah, and Ariana was really good, really great, really funny. Yeah. So which actors pulled you in most of all, captivated you most of all?
Well, I like Anita. I like Riff. I like Rachel.
Hmm.
Uh, and Rita Moreno, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just real quick, I'm just looking at dude's resume. Like we talk a lot of times about relationships.
Hmm.
He done a lot of films. The cinematographer, but he
Oh.
also did Schindler's List, Steven Spielberg film. He did Saving Private Ryan,
Mm.
Spielberg film. So they have a nice working relationship, which is dope.
And there it is, folks. Listen, when you connected with a filmmaker, director, producer, if you keep delivering
Yeah, bring it.
masterful work.
He did Lincoln as well, another Steven Spielberg film. So yeah, those relationships, no doubt.
Oh yeah. You deliver the work and you don't have a funky attitude. They're gonna want to keep hiring you. They're gonna retain your services,
No
because
doubt, no
you're
doubt.
good to work with and you're masterful in your specialties. So anyway, y'all, we're gonna wrap this up. Sorry we didn't have anything negative to say. Not I don't want to say sorry, I was being funny, but yeah, nothing really negative here to say. Overall, love the ride, enjoyed the ride. Bravo to the cast, to the crew. And to the original people who wrote it and original cast. That's it, y'all. Have a great Sunday night. Peace.
Peace.
Chinese.